What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, D-ROC Station, right here at its finest. This is episode 4. And what we're going to talk about a little bit today is some YuGioH.
It's time to do.
Alright. So let me give you a little bit of background, right, on where I fell in love with YuGioH. Now, your boy is old school, as I mentioned before. And so I got into YuGioH when that joint first dropped. And I'm talking about Saturdays at my cousin's. Had to wait for I want to say 10, 11 o'clock for those new episodes to drop. Season 1, Season 2. Let's see. I remember I was a kid at home. I saw, I want to say, one episode, I think. Or I was watching, I think I was watching one episode. I think it was the first one, if I'm not mistaken. But got hooked immediately. Called my cousin on the spot. I'm like, yo, you got to check out this show. And he was like, bro, I was literally going to call you for the same show. And then, anytime I went over, first thing we do, make sure I be there on a Friday, so Saturday morning we can watch it together. Let's see, where did I get my, so in that time, they had these starter decks that I wish I could buy somewhere. I think they're on eBay. They're just like crazy amounts of money to buy. For those of you that know, I'm talking about the Yugi starter deck, Joey's, Kaiba's, and Pegasus. Yeah, those were the 4 options you had back then, and they were everywhere, man. They were at Walmart. There was a comic book store too, where I used to go, where they had them a bunch too. So if you lived in that time and you were at that age where you was getting some YuGioH action going, like I said, you know if you know. I bought it. I know I bought all of them at some point. I bought all of them. I think I started out with Yugi's, where you get the Dark Magician, Hollow. You get, I think they got a Monster Reborn in all of the decks, and they're all hollow. I think I had I want to say the Change of Heart card was hollow, and I do believe it was in that deck too. They had a couple hollows. I believe Soul Exchange was in Kaiba's deck. It was also hollow. I'm not entirely sure which cards came in there, in which deck, but I remember buying that deck and then some booster packs here and there and trying to make my own deck. Now, of course, at this time, we're still brand new into the show. We don't know what the hell we're doing. We're just trying to, because I don't think we ever went anywhere or saw anyone or had anyone teach us how to actually play the card game. We would just look at what we saw on the show and try to mimic it. And of course, there were parts in the show that didn't make sense, that obviously you can't do. And then, of course, we read the cards and we used them as how we thought it was supposed to go. Like, for example, I know there's a bunch of you guys out there that still play the game that are not entirely sure, because all this new stuff coming out now with the 3,000 summons that you can do now in one turn and all that good stuff. So I'm not a fan of that, and I know a bunch of people that are not a fan of that. But for those of you that are, great. It's just too much. It takes all the fun. I don't think it was. If it wasn't for Master Duel, I wouldn't have actually known how to play the actual game. So shout out to all of you that came up and invented Master Duel. It's a great game. It's probably the best YuGioH game probably out there right now that you can get your hands on. But what I was trying to say in going with that is that there were certain people that would play and they would use just random card Mystical Space Typhoon, for example, it's a quick play card, right? Description on the card says to destroy any magic or trap card, or what they call it, spell card now. I'm from the era where they say magic cards, all right? Not spell. But I'm getting used to that. But anyways, they will use that card to also negate or destroy any. That's how we used it back in the day. So, like, for example, if you used Mirror Force, I would use Mystical Space Typhoon, and it would destroy your card and negate it. And like I said, it wasn't until I think maybe it wasn't until that I got on Master Duel that it got in my head that that's not how that card works. And so for those of you that still don't know, when you use Mystical Space Typhoon, it is still a quick play card, so you could definitely use it when it's not your turn, but it's only to destroy the card. It doesn't negate the activation of another card. So, for example, if my opponent is using Call of the Haunted, right? It's a continuous trap card, stays on the field. I can use Mystical Space Typhoon on their turn to destroy that card. Now, technically, whatever monster they were bringing back from the graveyard with that card would still come to the field, but when the trap card is destroyed, obviously it's destroyed with it. But I couldn't use it to negate any trap card. It's not for negate, only destroy. So when you destroy something, it doesn't mean that their activation or what it does doesn't happen. And I didn't know that. Our mindset, I think, for those that play like that was, if it's not on the field, you can't do it. If it got destroyed, you can't do it. As in, you never fully activated the card. You just tried to. So when we used Mystical Space Typhoon, you were out of luck and then the card destroyed, right? But obviously, that's not how that card is meant to be used. You would have to actually have a spell card that says negate the activation of such card or whatever kind of card. Same thing, like any trap counter cards, which most of them do say negate something. So, I'm not a fan again of all this new stuff or like hand traps, all these summonings that you can do, and each summoning does something special, and they also have effects, and it's too much. It's just too much for those of you that do it. Again, great. There has to be a limit, in my opinion, just because, like I said, for me, it takes all the fun out. Like, I get the point is, I would assume the point to do all that is to win quicker and then be able to talk smack about it. Like, yeah, I beat you in 2 turns or 3 turns, right? But you also got to think, like, right, where someone's showing up to play, we're excited to play, shuffling decks, shuffle your opponent's deck, whatever, boom. And let's say I win the coin toss and say, you go first, all right? Which is what 90% of people out there do. Okay, cool. You do your 30,000 summonings, and then the other guy doesn't even get to play. So by that point, do I even have to shuffle again, being that I never actually used anything? It's just, and like, cause you're just sitting there, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, you do all your summonings, and then now what? No, you lost. That's it. That's the game. I'm like, okay, I'll shuffle your deck again, so we can try to do this again. Like, it takes the fun out of it. Great that you can do that, but why? I think hand traps are dumb. There's times too, I don't know what it is, but like allowing your opponent to be able to still do these summonings while it's not even their turn. Like, if I activated a trap card or a monster or a special summon a monster on my turn, and I've seen all this in Master Duel, right? But when I do that, they start, first they would, I think, negate whatever I try to do, and then by doing that, there's a monster in their graveyard that activates once a monster in their hand activates their effect, and then they could bring that back, and then that new monster card's effect is to bring something else out of their deck into, like, bro, Like, it's not even your turn, bro. Like, you played, cool. It's my turn. Let me do my shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's beyond annoying. That's the only bad thing about that game. I feel like maybe there'd be more players if we didn't have that. It has to be the limit, like somewhere. Like I think about this, right? And I think, like, why would they do that, right? So I think about, like, maybe they did that so that they can create different cards and everyone can have different cards, right? Or there'd be more option for cards when you can create your own deck. But they created this thing to add it. Maybe the original gaming was boring. I mean, I had fun and a bunch of other people had fun too, but it's just too much. And you have to, and I guess they also did it too so that not everybody has the same cards, but now you have to have some of these cards that are out because otherwise you won't be able to do anything. And maybe they don't want that card in their deck, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, when I was playing Master Duel, I was, trying to recreate the decks I had in real life, right? And see, like, how good is it, or let me see if I'm using these cards correctly, right? And then I see all the stuff that they're doing, and I'm like, man, I can't do anything with this deck because they got all these hand traps and these summonings, so now I had to tweak it. And so I'm looking at certain cards, and I'm like, okay, maybe I can use this card to stop my opponent from doing this, and then maybe I can do the strategy that I have planned out. And it's lame or annoying because I could have used this space for a different card maybe, and now I had a bunch of cards I didn't really want in my deck. And then whatever you put in that deck, if you started to create a different deck, you got to make sure you have those exact same cards in every deck. Otherwise, you're not going to do anything. So it's a little annoying, but it's got its pros and it's got its cons. I'm just not a fan. Like, I just like the old school way. Like, no hand traps, no special summoning, no link monsters, no XYZ monsters. It's too much. It's just too much. And then, like before, whoever had like that extra deck that you would keep on, the left side of the mat, people look at you like, at that point it was called your fusion deck because all you had was fusion monsters. And so if you had like a good stack of them, they're like, man, what kind of fusions you got? And see if you can bring them out. And there was an actual difficulty level to bringing those out. Like, you had to be lucky that you drew any polymerization. That's another thing. Like, why are there fusion cards out now that doesn't even require polymerization? Like what? Like, I don't get it. But I tried learning. I went to a local card shop, and my goal with these cards now is just collect, play with my buddies that don't do all of that, and have fun. Like, I got 3 other buddies that I don't even know how this happened. I think one of my best friend's little brother got into it, and he was asking me questions about, like, yeah, man, like, of course, again, the show's the shit, and card game's fun. I still had my deck, and then I showed it to him, and then he started buying cards, and then my best friend again started buying cards, and then a second buddy started buying cards. So we were like, hey, since we got cards, you guys want to play? And then we found out about this app that tracks your life points. Spazzed out because they had that, and then the sound effects, the coin flip, everything that comes with it is great. And then we started playing all over again, and then everybody had like their own style, I guess you can call it, or they had like their own special deck. And the good thing back in the day, growing up with these cards, is that in my time, I feel so old saying that, but in my time, you had to be super creative with your cards in order for it to be any good. And again, at least that was my experience with the people I played with. I don't even fully remember like what my cousins used. My older brother played too. I don't even remember what cards he had. But I tried to combine. That's why I bought everybody's deck. So I had I think I had Pegasus Relinquished in my deck, and I had a Blue Eyes, I had a Red Eyes, I had Dark Magician, because they were strong or whatever. A lot of attack points. And then trying to combine those with like the Magic and Trap cards too. And back then, what you had to think about, or at least what I did as a kid, was Magic cards that can bring people, like for example Monster Reborn, right? You had to have that. And Magic cards too that will increase your attack points. Trap cards, again, same thing, to bring monsters back from the graveyard. Trap cards to destroy your opponent's monsters when they attack, stuff like that. So cards kind of like Mirror Force, Call of the Haunted, cards that do something similar like that. You didn't really have to worry about negating people's effects. It was actually like, I think the most card I've seen that like a most effect monsters that I saw was like Trap Master, I believe his name was. Mask of Darkness, Magician of Faith, cards like that, Wall of Illusion, like cards like that, Penguin Soldier that had an effect and it wasn't nothing too crazy, or like get a magic card from your graveyard, right? And you already knew you were gonna be in a tight spot because the go-to card to bring back was Monster Reborn. And same thing with Mask of Darkness. Like if they had a Mirror Force and you're screwed because you got to figure out now how to destroy that Mirror Force, and simple stuff like that, right? And you had to try to find cards that will either negate that, which in our time was Mystical Space Typhoon, we thought, or destroy it prior to them using it, which was Harpy's Feather Duster, which was very hard to get back in the day. Like very, very few people had it. But yeah, it was just a different time, and it was, I feel like, a lot more fun back then. And so you had to be creative. Nowadays, I have a buddy of mine, if you're watching, you know who you are. He legit went on Google, typed in the best deck you can get, and he found some sort of meta deck, put that together, and Master Duel, and completely annihilated me. And he had no experience with the game before. And he legit pissed me off because I was constantly losing. I'm like, you're not ready for this deck or this deck or this deck or whatever. And he smacked all of them. I'm like, see, I'm like, where did you come up? Like, how did you find this deck? And he's like, oh, no, I just Googled it. I'm like, bro. So, again, back then, you had to buy cards, buy booster packs, read them, see what they did, and see if it benefited your deck. But now you can just Google, YouTube, like starter decks or meta decks and stuff like that, and be like the absolute best. And there's no point. That's taking all the fun out of it. And that's how you knew you were good at it, when you had a deck that nobody can beat because you put together the best cards. It's just like the show too. Like the show, no one had like, for example, Pegasus. He did have Toon cards, right? But it's completely different in the game though. But or in the movie or in the show, or like there was no Toon deck, right? And as in, how can I explain this? Like when you bought cards, you weren't like, oh man, I got a Red Eyes, so now I'm gonna collect all the Red Eyes cards and create this deck. Like the Red Eyes deck you see, for example, in Master Duel, same thing with Blue Eyes. You get a Blue Eyes, and you're like, you don't buy 3 Kaiba starter decks to have all 3 Blue Eyes and say, oh cool, now I got these, and I'm gonna start collecting all the other Blue Eyes cards that they got out there that I can make a crazy ass Blue Eyes deck. Like, it wasn't like that back in the day. Like, you had to buy booster packs, pick a starter deck, decide what you wanted to do with it. And you had all kinds of cards. You had, like, it wasn't just as zombie decks. It wasn't just magician decks, blue eyes, red eyes. It wasn't just like that. You had a mix of everything because you're like, I can do this with this card, and this card can back it up like this, or that I can have this trap card with this magic card, whatever. But it was a variety of cards, different cards, and you had a badass deck. And so I played with my cousins, some buddies, and they had their own. I think we all started to rewatch the show, and then one of my buddies was fascinated with the Egyptian gods. He created an Egyptian god deck, is what he called it, and it was pretty good. He's got a bunch of different monsters. It's not like every card that you could possibly find in Master Duel that's related to Egyptian god cards or divine beast monsters. Like, he combined a bunch of other cards that help him do what he wants to do with his deck. So I think his strategy is that he's got a bunch of these monsters that you can't destroy by battle, and every turn it increases his life points. So by the time he has Raw in his hand, one of its effects is to leave you with 100 life points, and everything else is added to his attack points, and he starts annihilating everybody. But you got to figure out how to destroy these monster cards that he's got on the field that constantly increase his life points. So by the time he pulls out Raw, he still has them on the field. So he drains his life points to add it to Raw's attack, but at the same time, every turn, he's increasing his life points back up. So it's not like what I used to think before is that, dang, as soon as he drains his life points, all I got to do is attack him once maybe, and then that's game over. But he's now increasing his life points every turn, so that way it gets harder for me to win. And so he's got these monsters are defending his life points, and at the same time he's increasing them. And so it's dope. And he also added in the Egyptian god slime, which is if you've seen the show, it's part of Slifer's deck, I guess you can call it. So he added a bunch of that so he can pull that out while he's prepping for everything else, and I think it's a badass deck. I had another buddy who he called it his Shadow deck. It's a great deck. It's a fusion zombie card, I think it is. But he had a different other zombie cards in his deck that do crazy things, and it makes it challenging for you. And then his little brother, he loves to create different decks, and he plays. Of course, we all play Master Duel, so he's trying to duplicate the decks from the game in real life. So he's buying a bunch of booster packs. He's trying to recreate those decks. He's got his trap picks deck, which is really dope and annoying. He's got a bunch of other decks too, but that's the main one that I like because it's different. And there's a way to stop it. You just gotta get there as quickly as you can. And myself, I have a few decks. I'm a huge Pegasus fan, so I did create a tune deck that my buddies hate because it's the shit. Of course, I've been beaten before many times, but it ain't easy to beat me with that deck. And I got a magician deck that I really like, but today I'm gonna show you my original deck. Now, this is the box that I had for years since I was a kid. The cards are different, of course, because ever since we started playing Master Duel and then getting back into the cards, you see, again, I learned how to actually play the game, and I'm not 100% at it. Like, I still try to do stuff that they're like, nope, you can't do that, you can't do that. But I stopped trying to get with the new things, and it's just not for me. So this deck has been messed with a bunch, and I did. This was originally my dragon deck, because I had a bunch of, um, I think I had like 2 red eyes, 3 blue eyes. It was just dragons. Any kind of dragon, all dragons, and I added them to this deck over time. And then that's how it first started when we first got back into it. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this a dedicated blue eyes deck. So it's now a blue eyes deck, and got rid of all the red eyes and all that stuff. But yeah, so you're gonna see these cards and let me know what y'all think. All right, so here we go, guys. This is my blue eyes deck, and please don't judge. Again, this isn't what most of you guys are used to by now. Again, with the XYZ monsters and Link monsters. Now I do have a few of these, but it doesn't do anything crazy like how you guys are seeing on Master Duel and stuff like that. So, of course, can't do anything without these bad boys, right? So I got 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon, and the best dragon in my opinion. And then we got, I believe I have 2 of these, the Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon, great card. See, this trap card is good, right? But I don't think I'm using it right in live duels, and because when I try to use this card in Master Duel, it doesn't activate when I think it should. So this is weird. Now, if you read it, it says your opponent negates the normal or special summon of a monster or monsters, or the activation of a card or effect. Destroy all cards your opponent controls and in their hand. So this is leading me to believe that if you, for example, destroy one of my monsters with Trap Hole, right? That is negating the normal summon of a monster. At that point, I feel like this card should activate. That's how I've been using it in live duels, but in Master Duel, it doesn't do that for some reason, so I'm not sure what I'm missing. So for those of you that know how to use this card, please let me know. Of course, the Melody of the Awakening Dragon. It's a good magic card. Discard 1 card, add up to 2 dragons with 3,000 or more attack and 2,500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. This is a good card. The Return of the Dragon Lords. It's another good card. I love this card. So for those of you that know and use this card, if this is targeted, and targeted is just that word in some of these cards is a little confusing, misleading, because in the game, for example, if my opponent has a monster card and it attacks this one, or says I want to attack that monster, then that's what is considered as targeting, because that's when this effect activates. And the effect is that I put it in defense mode, and I can bring out Blue Eyes from my deck to the field, and it basically stops their attack. So it goes into defense mode, stops your opponent's attack, and you special summon Blue Eyes. But if I try to target this card, I believe with my own magic or trap cards, the effect won't activate. And again, this is a tricky card, or it's just hard to understand some of these cards because of the wording. But yeah, that's another issue that I'm also facing today with some of these cards. Because then I use it in a certain way, and then opponents were like, nope, you can't do that. So I don't know if it's because they're trying to play me and just to win the duel, or I legit can't do that. I'm not sure. For those of you that play, let me know in the comments. Is that something common that most players do, is just lie to win a duel? And I've seen videos too where people like hate when others call the judge over to confirm whether or not what they're doing is correct. But y'all let me know. Yeah, the Beacon of White. And I haven't even used this card yet, so I really forget what it does. But yeah. Of course, I feel like every guy or every duelist has to have a Harpy's Feather Duster, True Light. This is what helps me bring Blue Eyes back from the graveyard if it's ever destroyed. And I get to bring back, or bring in from any magic card that mentions Blue Eyes in it from my deck to my hand. A classic card here, Spellbinding Circle. And this Dragon Spirit of White. I don't think I ever actually used this card either. I don't think I've used this card either. Yeah, I'll look at that later. So here is one Link monster. Oh no, this is a ritual card. Never mind. This is a ritual card. Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon is a badass card. Don't think I brought that one out yet. This is another one, which is everybody's worst nightmare in Master Duel. Because I think the only way to get rid of this bad boy is by like a magic or trap card. Or attacking, I think. It says your opponent cannot attack or cannot target this card with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So, you have to have a card in your deck that has more than 4,000 to destroy this bad boy. And every time this bad boy attacks your defense monster, it still inflicts damage to your life points. Torrential Tribute is a great card. I think everybody should have that one too. Another classic, Negate Attack. The White Stone of Ancients. I think this is what lets it... oh yeah, if you banish this card from your graveyard, you can add a Blue Eyes to your graveyard, from your graveyard to your deck. Another one of these bad boys. My cousin's favorite card, Swords of Radiant Light, which is another classic Magic Cylinder, and of course Mirror Force, and you gotta have Monster Reborn. That's another one of those. Another classic card that very, very few had back in my day is Regeki. And there's the other alternative dragon. Now this Chronicle Magician card, I think I've used it a couple times. Oh yeah, so if I special summon a Blue Eyes, I think, and I can add 2,500 to his attack or something like that. Wishes for Eyes of Blue, another dope card. Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons. Special summon in defense position one Blue Eyes monster from your deck, graveyard, or banishment. Ooh. So even if it's banished, I can bring it back. That's cool. But if you control no Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can only special summon Blue Eyes White Dragon with this effect. Also, you cannot special summon from your extra deck for the rest of the turn. That sounds pretty good. Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon. Don't even know if I ever use this. I think the point of me adding this card in was to bring out polymerization from my deck to my hand, so I can bring out Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Dictator of D is a dope card. I believe this is what's that one monster card that you get in Kaiba's deck that you combine it with? I believe it's called the Flute of Summoning Dragon. Because it's not the same name, but it looks like it's the same drawing. But so this card is cool because when you bring it out and anybody tries to attack any Blue Eyes, I believe it's any Blue Eyes or any dragon on your side, this card allows you to choose which card it can attack. So for example, you can leave this in attack mode. If they have, I don't know, let's say Dark Magician, and they try to destroy this bad boy, I can redirect it to maybe a Blue Eyes and completely destroy that card. So that's pretty cool. So I got two of those. And Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, which is also dope. For those of you that don't know, I believe if any card is destroyed on my field, this will automatically come back from the graveyard if it's in the graveyard. Or if I attack, let's read it. Other cards you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. You can only use each of the following effects of Blue Eyes Dead Dragon once per turn. You can only activate them while Blue Eyes White Dragon is on your field or in the graveyard. If a card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. So yeah, that's pretty good. I got another one of these bad boys, Sage with Eyes of Blue. When this card is normal summon, you can add 1 level Light Tuner from your deck or hand, except another Sage with Eyes of Blue. You can discard this card, then target one effect monster you control and send it to the graveyard. And if you do, special summon. Okay, so this card is awesome too. So normally you gotta already have an effect monster on the field for this one. So when I pull this one out, let's say, okay, so let's say I have this on the field in defense mode already, and I bring out this card on another turn. I can use this effect to destroy this card, and then if I do, I'll be able to summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from, I believe, my deck. Yeah, from your deck. And you can do that once per turn. And I got 2 of these. Infinite Impermanence. It's another great card and annoying at the same time. I believe this is considered a hand trap, I think. That's another thing. How do you know which are hand traps? Because I don't think there's any description on here that makes it or classifies this as a trap or hand trap. It doesn't say here. It's not in the description. But if you play Master Duel, it'll let you know which card is. But how do you know that if you're not playing Master Duel? This is another hand trap that I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with, that will negate any monster's effect that is summoned to the field. And Ash Blossom, which is another hand trap that I'm pretty sure a lot of you are familiar with. And this one stops you from adding a card from your deck to your hand. It can negate the special summon from your deck, and it will stop you from sending a card from your deck to their graveyard, I believe. Another card that a lot of people find very annoying. Ultimate Fusion, I believe I put this in my deck to help me bring out Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. So I got 2 of those. The Chaos Form is the ritual card, so I can bring out that Blue Eyes, what's it called? Chaos Max Dragon. There's another True Light. Distant Rivals. Shout out to Pokemon. It says if you control Blue Eyes White Dragon or Dark Magician, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls until the end of this turn. You can only activate this card once per turn. So yep, that does that. Ultimate Creature of Destruction. It says target 1 Blue Eyes monster you control this turn. That face-up monster is unaffected by card effects except its own. It cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, any monster it battles is destroyed at the end of the damage step. While this card is in your graveyard, if you normal special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can set this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use the effect of the Ultimate Creature of Destruction once per turn. Nice. Majesty of the White Dragons. Show up to 3 of the dragons. So show up to 3 of the Blue Eyes White Dragons in your hand, face up, monster zone, and or graveyard. Then destroy equal number of cards your opponent controls. You can banish this card from your graveyard. Ritual summon 1 ritual monster from your hand by tributing Blue Eyes White Dragons from your hand or field whose total levels equal its level. Wait, I didn't know that. So you can destroy your opponent's monsters and at the same time possibly ritual summon a different one. Sweet. Neo Kaiser Seahorse. I think, oh yeah, it does have some sort of Blue Eyes effect. If you control Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can target 1 Light Tuner you control, increase or decrease its level by 1. they decrease and increase those, so that way that can eventually help them link summon, I believe, a monster in the future. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can send one blue eyes monster or one that mentions blue eyes white dragons from your deck to your graveyard, except this one. Nice. And the third one of those, and last but not least, deep eyes white dragon, which is another cool card. I forgot what it does. While a face-up blue eyes monster you control is destroyed by battle or opponent's card effect, you have a dragon type monster in your graveyard. You can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, inflict 600 damage to your opponent for each dragon type monster with a different name in your graveyard. Nice. If this card is normal or special summon, target one dragon type monster in your graveyard. If this card's attack becomes equal to that monster's. If this card is on the field, it's destroyed by a card effect. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls. That is insane. But again, you gotta know how to use all these bad boys. So that's my Blue Eyes deck. I know it's not something you guys are normally used to. Feel free to judge me though in the comments. I will appreciate it. Give me maybe some tips on some possible strategies I can use and possible cards to take out, put in. This is my extra deck for this one. So here I got this bad boy. Now I don't even know what none of these do. I've seen this one in the game and I still forgot what it does. I haven't played that game in a minute. I just know it's Blue Eyes related. So I gotta read those and see what it does. I haven't used this one. This is XYZ monster for those that don't know. And these are synchro monsters. And they, I believe, so the way you summon one, it'll tell you right here that you'll need 2 level 8 dragon monsters in order to fuse together, I guess you can say, to bring out this card. And then those 2 monsters that you end up using becomes what I think they call it material for this card. So this card may say destroy 1 material monster to activate this effect, and then you could possibly redo that on a second turn, and then once you're done with that, you're just done and you can't use those effects anymore. But usually whatever effect you end up activating is a game changer, or it can help you in a tight spot, stuff like that. I believe these are also considered effect monsters. It does say effect there, so I would assume so. They usually have some sort of special cool effect. Yeah, I'm not going to read all that, but they usually have something cool. These are link monsters for those that don't know. Now these are, I'm still having trouble understanding. I put it in there just to test my own knowledge in a duel and see if I do it right. But apparently here, this link 1 means, again, I apologize if I still don't understand it, but I believe you only need 1 monster when it says link 1 to bring this bad boy out. And it should also say here 1 level 4 or lower dragon or spell cast monster. So I believe with a level 4 of either a dragon or spellcaster, I can tribute that to bring out this card. And then this one also has its own effects, which again hopefully is a game changer and can help you in a tight spot. For those that know and see that I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, please let me know. Now this one is a link 2, so you need 2, and normally that should say that here, so it says 2 dragon monsters. Now when it says 2 dragon monsters, that leads me to believe any dragon monster, as long as it's 2 of them. And also apparently these arrows here mean something as well. I think the more links that you need, the more of those you'll see, and they'll be anywhere on the card. Again, I don't know. This is Linguribo, if I'm pronouncing that at all right. 1 link monster. I believe this one will negate the attack of one of your monsters. That will drop it go straight to 0. So it kind of is like helping you avoid an attack. I think a bunch of people have this card in their deck for that reason. And of course, the bad boy Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. This one's got 4,500 attack. Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon, Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon, and a Hollow Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Now, for those of you two that collect just for the cards and to keep and collect, I still don't understand how to determine which card is super rare, ultra rare, regular rare, whatever rare. Apparently, the yellow lettering here and the hollow here, I believe this is super rare. And even, I don't think either rare card that you have, I don't care, or what I'm trying to say is, I don't think that any of these rare cards actually is worth anything. I don't know. For those of you, again, that know and I don't, please feel free to correct me. For example, this one's got the blue-white lettering here, and the hollow here is a little different from that one. And I don't know. I see some crazy cards where like the entire thing is hollow, and it's, again, I don't think any of those cards are worth anything. I think the only cards that do are like the old school that you can get from like the Yu-Gi starter deck box and whatnot. So that was it. That was my deck, my Blue Eyes deck. And again, if you have any suggestions, advice for me on what cards to throw in, which cards to take out, please let me know. Let me know what you think of my deck. Please put in there what decks you want to see next. I have, this is my Blue Eyes. I have a Dark Magician deck. I believe I'm establishing a Red Eyes deck. I have my Toon deck, of course. There's a Water / Aqua / Sea Serpent deck. I don't think that one's any good, but I got it. And I think I'm trying to create my own Slifer deck. I think I'm trying to mimic what you see in the show. But I'm trying to like add my own little funk to it to see if I can do what you see in the show. But yeah, let me know which one of those you want to see next, and I'll put that in the episode and we'll make it happen. I do have 3 binders, 2 10s with a bunch of other cards. If you guys want to see that, cool, let me know. I do have an original Dark Magician from Yu-Gi starter deck that I believe is worth $2,000 if it comes back a PSA 10. I do have an original printing of Jinzo that everybody wants that I will definitely not give away. I believe that's worth some money too. So if you guys want to see that, let me know. I am open to trades. If you guys have something that you guys maybe want to trade, let me know. Hit me up. Comments. We'll make it happen. But yeah, I appreciate you guys stopping by. If you haven't checked out those previous shows, please do check out episode 1 through 3. I think you'll like it. For all my other geeks out there looking for something to watch, I got Marvel, I got Star Wars, and I got Pokemon up. Check those out. And you're going to see a bunch of those around here. Maybe touching on some Turtles, some Ninja Turtles for all my fans out there too. I might do some video games. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. Appreciate you again stopping by. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share it everywhere. Tell your friends, your family, your neighbor, your landlord. Pretty sure they'll all appreciate it. Thank you again. Peace.